been using similar techniques to create a lot of our tools. So it's very interesting to see that we have both thought about the same sort of exercise. Would you like to start by, you want me to do the introduction or okay. So I'm basically a person who builds games and simulations. My team builds games and simulations. We mainly, when we say games, it's much more broad. So we build physical games like exercises, we build tabletops, we build semi-digital, we build digital. Depends on the context that we are trying to address. Mainly by looking at public policy, we look at them as being extremely complex, and for the context of India, you need different type of approach to address the complexity. And I'm sure one of the things is games, the other has been what we call generative simulations. But without using much lingo, basically it gives you a set of options by which you can select one that you feel is best, because as we all discussed, each person is an individual, their own context, their own biases, etc. are involved. So I think the best way to sort of address it is let that person make that choice given the available options, and then you leave, because we are able to use computation now, you leave it to a computer or other people or computers, etc. to do the grunt work. I've been developing transport simulations for a while now, and had urban simulations. So today, I guess the exercise will be a small game called the city game. So I guess the first, I think, you guys.
Thank you, Shah. So I'll take a step back. So I come from a very varied background in the sense I have training in environmental engineering, then took up some technical with satellite remote sensing. But I also been looking at ecology quite a bit. And then I started looking at studying birds, and then still we still do a lot of work on frogs. How many of you know it? So we like our team has ended up describing a couple of new species of frogs. To get you more bored on it, we have an app on frogs, right? So we do a bunch of things across, as in the cross section of ecology and cities. My sort of training has been looking at intersection of all of these. So trying to study how societies at large are organizing, and what we also call as self-organizing and evolving together. And on the other hand, we also go back, sort of rewind millions of years ago and try to understand evolution, more so from an ecological perspective. So we cut across geography, geology, ecology, and now into cities. So to give you, again, put things in perspective, we've been studying some group of frogs. So again, come back to you on frogs. They come under what are known as amphibians, right? Why are they amphibians? That's the most inaccurate sort of thing that we have been taught. That's what we were taught, right? Essentially, amphibians is amphibiosis. Amphi is two. Bios is life. It's two life stages. Amphibians are those organisms that have two life stages. Essentially, the first stage is a tadpole stage. When the eggs hatch, it falls into water, and the tadpoles are there for about 15-20 days. And then they metamorphose and become an adult, or a frog-like kind of frog. So what we see them as frogs, as essentially have two life stages. If they directly hatch into it, they could be reptiles or something else, right? Because evolutionarily, it's a different thing. And amphibians have evolved over like 400-500 millions of years ago. And incidentally, India is also blessed with one group of amphibians whose nearest cousin is in Madagascar, because it comes from a different place. Because geologically, Indian plane that we are on got bifurcated 150 million or between 165 to 130 million years ago after the geological event. So we moved across, and if you didn't know, some of the rivers of the Western Ghats are older than the Himalayas. So the timescales we're looking at in ecology are quite different, right? So it's basically that the amphibians, one group of amphibians that have evolved more recently, which is like 300,000 years ago, are sort of exhibiting very strange phenomena in the sense that when the eggs are hatching, you have the frog-leg coming out. So the tadpole stage is getting over within the eggs. So these belong to a group of Algorian frogs called, under a genus called Roaches. So we still don't have a hypothesis as to why this is happening. If you crack it, it's a science paper. As in, it's like we have only made an observation saying there are different hypotheses that have come in and said, okay, this is happening. So we have this happening, like this is taking place in the Western Ghats. But the epoch of time that we are looking at is so minuscule because this frog has evolved only 300,000 years ago. Right? And as humans, we are like, maybe our active life could be another 50 years, or within 50 years we are trying to say, okay, this has happened. So we're using molecular analysis, but we're still, the epoch of time that we are observing this transformation is so small for us to comment on anything. And so we only know that this group is changing. So like I said, so the things like that, right? So we also look at species distribution as to why certain species of birds or frogs or diatoms or a whole bunch of other organisms are only found in certain areas. Like I said, Indian plate moved out, so we are trying to understand why it moved out. We know it is a geological event, but when it moved out, what biophysical layers contributed to that? Right? So how did speciation occur? So there are things like that we are also working on at a different scale. But what also fascinates us is how people interact. And so, end of the day, we are all in cities, right? So before we start with the city game, I will again take you back to a bit like history a bit. So I'll start with a story. As in, it's fundamental because I think for those of us who are studying cities and a whole lot of other issues, it's fundamental for us to sort of look at things from a clean slate at times, or many times, right? So the story goes back to about 350 BC, and this is something that happened around Takshashila. And essentially, there was this king called King Megasthenes, who was a Greek ruler. He's also called as King Melinda in some literature. So he conquers Takshashila and he comes there. He is also a scholar, so he likes to debate with people around. So he ends up, Takshashila was already sort of a knowledge center there. So he ends up in a debate and manages to defeat everybody there. And the word goes out to Patliputra, now Patna. And that's the time when Buddhist philosophy was at its peak almost. So they sent a person called Nagasena to counter Megasthenes in a verbal duel. So Nagasena and his team land up at Takshashila on a designated time, and so they camp outside Takshashila and they're there. The day previous to that, King Megasthenes is already impatient and he comes there and Nagasena and his disciples are gathered in some place, and he comes and asks, "Who is this Nagasena?" So Nagasena comes out and says, they call this entity as Nagasena. And the king feels that response is very rude. He says, "How dare you be so rude and speak untruth to a king?" And so Nagasena responds to him saying, "How did you come?" He says, "I came by a chariot." So he walks down towards the chariot and asks, "Is this horse a chariot?" No. Is the guy who rode your chariot, is the chariot? Or is the place is the wheel the chariot? He asks every other part and says, "Is it the chariot?" Right? So, and then king responds, "No, that's not the chariot, just a wheel." So he says, drives the point saying, each part, right, and its own doesn't make is different, and when it comes to be part of a whole, it has a different meaning. So similarly, when you say somebody is like this person, right? So the actions and the forms and whatever they do, or the thought process has a different thing. So in the sense, so coming back here, right? I'll put a question back to you as to then. So how do you then define what is Bangalore or a city? All of us are here experiencing the city, being part of it in different ways. So how do you then say what is a city or
A system of many things coming together.
So how do we define that?
The answer is from infrastructure perspective of
Anything.
Yeah, something I've heard from several friends actually, especially in the last, I'm a Bangalore remember, from several friends and particularly from also friends who moved here, is that a lot of them say that Bangalore actually, even though it's comparatively a smaller city, say from, let's say, Delhi or Bombay, people who move from, let's say, larger cities, they still say that it feels like it's actually a mix of a number of smaller cities because it's grown like that, and it seems like there are little pockets that are actually quite self-sustained. So each part of Bangalore now looks kind of drastically different. So this is something that I got. When you said what is Bangalore as a city, this is something that sort of keeps and it's come to me from like several people actually. So,
I think I'll take the point of view from medicines itself and the way the question was put across. So I think from my perspective it depends on who's asking the question. So for example, if I'm a person who's just coming to the city as a visitor and I'm asking this question, it's a broader question to say what is the city like? Like if you look at Mumbai as a city, it was a city that never sleeps. Bangalore is a city that used to be a garden city and it used to be green. So now for those of us who live in the city, we say this is a city that's, reflects the state of how we feel about the city, that it's completely broken down. But still there are people who come from other cities who find that Bangalore is different because of the people who live in it. So I think it is more of an experiential thing as we speak about human beings in terms of what is it that we are looking at it from the standpoint. Like let me go back to a story. They say that there are two sets of people who come into the city, and there's a tea shop, and the first person asks the tea shop person, how is the city? So he asks him, how is the city which you left? The city was full of wicked people. It was a horrible experience. He says a lot of things which are negative. So he says that's exactly the city you're going to find. And then the next person comes and he asks the same question. He says, how was it? Oh, it was a fantastic place. I loved every part of it. There was so much of history, culture. The food was great. People were fantastic. It's exactly the city you're going to find. You've come to the right place. I think that's my perspective.
I was just thinking about what if we think in terms of the unit, like design dialogue, as I mean, maybe it's started by you, but you have some idea of what is design dialogue, and then I have now come over a couple of events, and then I have my own idea of what is design dialogue, and maybe if you use that as a unit and then build up to entire Bangalore, someone would have definitely put that Bangalore's origin name, right? But it would have evolved from that unit and then like collection of such units.
Hi. When he was talking about you come looking for a city, you find that city. So this reminds me of one of my favorite books, Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino. So this is about Marco Polo going and talking to the king, right? And each city is so magical in its own way. Because he's looking at it in one perspective. Only at the end does the king realize that it is all Venice. it's just the way you look at the city and what you want to find probably in the city. So yeah.
So I kind of went back to the fundamentals there, and I found out that the first city, if you go to archaeology, you look at it, that's how you put it, like in Mesoamerica. And after that, like the first city that has been defined is mostly Roman city. So the fundamental thing that comes up in most cities is your ability to do other work apart from just surviving. When such people are together. So if I have to put it strictly speaking, we can sit here and have a discussion around design dialogue and not worry about, okay, where is my next clothes coming from, where is my next food coming from, etc. So a city allowed you to do division of labor, and that is what created quote unquote the civilization. Is one argument that has been placed. Katalayuk is interesting for other reasons because it asks you the fundamental question whether the first city was because whether the first civilization was more warlike or whether the first civilization was more like this, like for traders. And it turns out that it's more the latter. But if you say what is Bangalore then, so if I have established who the city is, then the Bangalore is an emergent phenomenon. It's an emergence of networks of people, networks of systems, network of things around. So the next question would be how do you draw a border, but that's an arbitrarily you have drawn a border and we say that is Bangalore. So it's not purely geography.
So yeah, my response is going to be quite similar to that. We were having a conversation with somebody who was talking about what was before lakes, what came before the obsession with reviving Bangalore's lakes and that sort of thing. I mean, the history is a lot, but part of what went into sort of closing up the lakes and filling them up was the fear of malaria. What was before that? You had 14 children, and about 7 of them died. So I feel like perhaps if you think about sort of land being the asset and sort of things that war is fought for, the history of civilization being man trying to terraform and sort of manage systems in a way that is most beneficial to him. Maybe a city is a culmination of that, when you sort of try to push away uncertainties and the vagaries of nature as far away from you as possible.
What is a city or what is Bangalore as a city? Because one is an abstract version, because the moment I say Bangalore as a city, then there is a lot more character which comes in, which is not Bombay as a city.
So each city has its own different character.
Right, yeah.
Like how each of us are different individuals. Each city has different characters. But at least we are able to say each of us are different individuals. So similarly we have different cities. So how do you say that?
Yeah. So ever since I've started studying cities, what's been convenient for me is to look at a city as a text. So for me, Bangalore is a text, and the way I read it is by walking its streets, not by riding, not on a car, not on a bike, but by walking its streets. And I think I was aided by Roland Barthes, who thinks similarly. He talks about science through which we can interpret a city. So yeah, I'd say a city is a text, and Bangalore is a very interesting text. And
it keeps changing as a text. Yeah.